I want to start today by tapping into a feeling that I guarantee every single person listening right now has
Oh,
felt,
yeah.
probably in the last 24 hours, maybe even in the last hour. It's that visceral bubbling frustration when someone else just won't behave the way you want them to.
It is the universal struggle, isn't it? It's sort of the background noise of the human experience.
Exactly. And it could be something incredibly trivial, like your spouse eating chips with their mouth open while you're trying to watch a movie.
Oh, the crunching. Yeah.
Just that crunch, crunch, crunch that makes you want to, just scream. Or it could be something much deeper and more painful, like a boss who refuses to see your value, or maybe a group of friends who made plans without you.
And we all know that sensation. It's a physical thing. It's a tightening in your chest.
Hmm.
It's the heat rising up the back of your neck.
And the instinctive reaction, the human reaction is to try and fix it. We try to control the situation. We nag the spouse. We work harder for the boss. We text the friends asking why.
We expend this massive amount of energy trying to manage the feelings and the actions of everyone around us, all so we can feel just a little bit of peace ourselves.
Which is, ironically, the quickest way to lose your peace.
It is. It's the illusion of control. We exhaust ourselves trying to pilot other people's ships, and then we wonder why we're drowning in our own lives. We're constantly auditioning for the role of general manager of the universe.
And spoiler alert,
Nobody hired us for that job.
that is such a good way to put it. Well, today we are going to break that cycle. We were doing a deep dive into the work of Mel Robbins, specifically her new framework that is effectively a manual for retiring from that general manager position.
Right.
It's called the Let Them Theory.
And before you roll your eyes and think this is just about apathy or, letting people walk all over you, let me just stop you right there. This is not about passivity. This is based on Robbins' book and her personal writings, and she frames this not as some, catchy Instagram slogan, but as a legitimate psychological tool for emotional freedom. It is a cognitive reframe.
We have a lot of ground to cover today. We're going to look at the let them side of the equation, but also the equally important let me side, which I think a lot of people miss.
They do. It's the critical other half.
Our mission today is to show you how these two simple words can maybe cure anxiety, fix your relationships, and give you your life back. So let's unpack this. Where does this actually start? Because Mel Robbins wasn't always the guru of emotional regulation, was she?
Far from it. And I think that's why her work resonates so deeply with people. To understand the power of let them, you really have to understand the chaos of where Mel was before she found any of these tools.
Right.
We need to go back to when she was 41 years old. And honestly, she was at absolute rock bottom.
I was reading through the source material on this, and the numbers are just staggering. She wasn't just having a bad month or some kind of midlife crisis. She was unemployed.
Unemployed. Her husband's restaurant business was collapsing completely.
And the debt.
The debt. $800,000.
Wow.
Just let that sink in for a moment. $800,000. That is a suffocating amount of pressure. She had lien-ins on the house. The phone was ringing nonstop with collection calls. You know that feeling when you're afraid to check the mail?
Yeah, of course.
Multiply that by 1,000.
And her coping mechanisms at the time were, well, they were human, they weren't healthy, but they were relatable.
Absolutely. She describes it so vividly. She was hitting the snooze button over and over and over every morning, just delaying the start of the day because reality was just too painful to face.
Yeah.
She was drinking to numb the panic in the evenings. And critically for our discussion today, she was blaming her husband. She was projecting all that fear outward, thinking, if he hadn't done this, if he would just fix this, then I would be okay.
It's that feeling of paralysis. I think we've all been there, maybe not to that financial extent, but that state where you know exactly what you need to do. Get up, update the resume, call the bank, but you physically cannot make your body do it.
You're frozen.
You are frozen in the headlights of your own life.
That paralysis is the brain trying to protect you from stress, but it ends up trapping you. It's the freeze response. And this is where her first major breakthrough happened, which really sets the stage for let them. It was the discovery of the 5-second rule.
The rocket launch story, I love this origin story. It feels almost cinematic.
It is iconic. So she's sitting there, she's numb, feeling like a total failure, and she's watching a NASA launch on TV. She sees the countdown, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, liftoff.
And something just clicks.
Something clicks in her brain. She decides, tomorrow morning, I'm not going to hit snooze. I'm going to launch myself out of bed like a rocket. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
And it actually worked.
It worked. because what it does is it interrupts the brain's habit loop. It bypasses the hesitation, the self-doubt, the fear that's all stored in the basal ganglia, and it forces the prefrontal cortex. That's the part of the brain that takes action, to engage.
So she used it for that, to get up, and then to look for a job, and then to manage her anxiety.
Right. And it became a global phenomenon. The TEDx talk, the book, it was all about action. It was about brute forcing your way through your own internal resistance.
Okay, so the 5-second rule is about forcing yourself to do the things you don't want to do. It's an internal tool. But here is where it gets really interesting, and where the sources make a crucial distinction. She realized that while she could 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 herself into action, the tool had a limit.
A huge limit. She could 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 herself to the gym. She could 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 herself to send a scary email. But she couldn't 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 her husband into being less stressed.
Right.
She couldn't 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 her friends into inviting her out. She couldn't 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 the economy into recovering.
That is the wall she hit. So the 5-second rule solves the problem of your own procrastination and hesitation, but it doesn't solve the problem of relationships.
No.
It doesn't solve the anxiety we feel about other people.
Precisely. And that required a completely different tool. That required a shift from forcing to surrendering. And that is the birth of the let them theory.
So let's get to that origin story. It wasn't a NASA launch this time. It was something much more social and stinging. It was the fear of missing out FOMO in its purest form.
Yeah, it was a weekend trip. Mel found out that a group of her very close friends, her inner circle, had gone away for a girls' weekend, and she wasn't invited.
Oof. That stings. I don't care how old you are or how successful you are. That feeling of exclusion, it just takes you right back to the middle school cafeteria.
It does. It triggers that primal, I'm not safe, I'm not part of the tribe alarm, and she spiraled.
Of course.
The source material describes her just obsessing over it. Why did they ask me? Did I do something wrong? Are they mad at me? Is it because I'm not fun anymore?
Oh, all those questions.
She was letting this event completely hijack her emotional state. She was trying to mentally control a situation that had already happened. She was, in effect, arguing with reality.
And that's the trap, isn't it? We think if we analyze it enough, or if we get angry enough, or if we replay the scenario in our heads 1,000 times, we can somehow change what happened.
Right. We think worry is work. We think rumination is problem solving. But it's not. It's just suffering.
So what happened?
And then, right in the middle of this spiral, she had this aha moment. She realized that her suffering wasn't coming from the fact that they went on a trip. They were on the trip, whether she was upset or not. Her suffering was coming from her resistance to it.
She was fighting the reality of the situation.
Exactly. And so she said the mantra, let them go. Let them have a girls' weekend.
It sounds so simple, but let them is actually a pretty radical stance when you're in the heat of that emotion.
It is radical. Because let them is an acknowledgement of reality.
Yeah.
It's not about being a doormat. It's not about saying, I love that you treated me poorly. It is simply saying, this is what is happening, and I cannot control it.
So if your friends don't invite you, let them.
Let them. If your kids don't want to go to the event, let them. If your partner is grumpy this morning, let them. It stops the war against the present moment.
There's a visual metaphor in the book that I found really helpful, the seesaw. I'm a visual learner, so this really clicked for me. Can you explain that for the listener?
Oh, I love the seesaw analogy. It's perfect.
Yeah.
So imagine you are on a playground seesaw. On the other end is the person you're trying to control, or the person whose approval you are desperate for, your boss, your spouse, that friend.
Okay.
When you are obsessed with their behavior, you are standing on that seesaw with them. You are like legally bound to their physics.
So scenario A, you're on the seesaw. They act like a jerk, or they withdraw.
You sink down, you crash. If they validate you, if they act nice, you go up. It's sort of high on their supply, but they hold all the power. Your emotional stability is completely tethered to their actions.
You're just a passenger on their ride.
Exactly.
The let them theory.
The let them theory is the act of stepping off the seesaw. You are choosing to stand on your own 2 feet on solid ground. You detach your stability from their actions. They can bounce up and down, they can stay up, they can stay down. It doesn't matter. You aren't crashing anymore.
But wait, and I know the listener is thinking this because I'm thinking it. If I just let them, isn't that just giving up? Isn't that just detachment? If I just say, let them exclude me or let them treat me badly, am I just accepting a bad life? Am I just rolling over?
This is the most critical point of the entire discussion. And you're right to ask it. If you stop at let them,
Yep.
you're only doing half the work. You might find peace, but you won't find growth. In fact, you might even find resentment.
So what's missing?
You need the second half of the equation to make this a tool for empowerment.
Let me.
Okay, let's unpack let me. This feels like the engine of the whole theory.
It is. It's everything. Let them. Releases your grip on the external world. It stops the energy leak. Let me is about taking radical responsibility for your internal world. It's the pivot.
So once you accept that you can't control them, you have all this freed up energy.
Exactly. What do you do with it? You focus on your response. You focus on what you can build.
So going back to the girls' weekend, let them go on the trip. That's the release. That stops the obsessive texting, the spiraling. What is the let me?
The let me is proactive. It's, let me make my own plans this weekend. Let me call another friend who I haven't seen in ages. Let me enjoy my free time without wondering what they're doing. Or if it hurts too much and this is a pattern of exclusion, the let me might be something bigger. It might be, let me reconsider if these friendships are actually meeting my needs. Let me find a circle where I am celebrated, not just tolerated. That shifts the power dynamic completely. Instead of waiting for an invite, you're creating your own joy. You're not the victim of their schedule anymore.
Exactly. Or let's take the grumpy partner scenario. Let them be grumpy. That's the boundary. You aren't trying to cheer them up. You aren't asking what's wrong every 5 seconds, which we all know just makes them grumpier.
Right.
That's let them. The let me is, let me protect my peace. Let me go for a walk. Let me put on my headphones and listen to a podcast. Let me not let their bad mood ruin my good mood.
I like this because it stops us from being emotional chameleons. You know that thing where you walk into a room and you feel like you have to match the vibe of the most stressed person there?
Yes. We often think empathy means catching the other person's emotions like a virus. But true emotional intelligence is observing their emotion without absorbing it. Let them is the wall. Let me is the garden you grow behind the wall.
Let's look at some real-world applications, because the theory sounds great in the abstract. But, applying it when you're actually angry is hard.
Mm-hmm.
The source material talks about something we've all dealt with, probably recently, the coughing passenger.
Oh, the classic travel nightmare.
Yeah.
This is the perfect low-stakes but high-rage scenario.
Mm-hmm.
You're on a plane, trapped in a metal tube, and the person next to you is hacking up a lung. And maybe they aren't covering their mouth properly. Maybe they're just coughing into the air.
The immediate reaction is rage. It's fear of getting sick. It's judgment. Why are you so rude? Were you raised in a barn? It's, looking around for a flight attendant to save you.
Right. And physiologically, your amygdala, your brain's fear center, is hijacked. It perceives a threat. Mel references Dr. Aditi Nerurkar here regarding the stress response. Your brain is screaming, emergency, contagion, disrespect.
But let's look at the reality. Can you stop this person from coughing?
No, unless you have a magical mute button for their lungs.
Yeah.
You can stare daggers at them. You can sigh loudly. You can shift aggressively in your seat. They are still going to cough.
Right.
All you are doing is flooding your own body with cortisol.
So applying the theory.
Let them. Let them cough. Acknowledge that you cannot control their lungs or their manners. That signals the amygdala. Okay, this is happening, but I am not fighting it. The tiger isn't attacking me. The guy is just coughing.
And the let me.
Let me put on my noise-canceling headphones. Let me put on a high-quality mask to protect myself. Let me turn my body away and focus on my book. You move from being the victim of the cough to the manager of your own environment.
It sounds small, but I bet that saves you 3 hours of just simmering anger.
It saves you from arriving at your destination exhausted and cranky. You reclaim your energy.
Yeah.
You land feeling fresh because you didn't spend the entire flight fighting a war you couldn't win.
Okay, let's raise the stakes. The coughing passenger is annoying, but you never have to see them again. What about work? We spend a third of our lives there. The source material mentions Steve, the archetypal bad boss, or just the general frustration of feeling undervalued.
Work is a huge one. The source material notes that for many people, work stress often equals or even exceeds the stress of a spouse because our livelihood is tied to it.
Yeah.
And the trap here is thinking, if I just work harder, they will notice. If I just stay late one more time, Steve will finally get it.
You're trying to control their perception of you. You're trying to edit the movie that's playing in their head.
Exactly. You're trying to manage Steve's brain. And if Steve is committed to not appreciating you, or if the company has a wage freeze, or if the culture is just toxic, no amount of late nights will change that. You are banging your head against a concrete wall, hoping it will turn into a door.
So let them.
Let Steve be unappreciative. Let the company be disorganized. Let the promotion not come. Acknowledge the reality. This is where I work. This is who my boss is. This is the pay.
That feels scary, though. It feels like accepting defeat. It feels like saying, okay, I guess I'm worth nothing.
It's only defeat if you stop there. That's where let me comes in to save the day. Let me update my resume.
Ah,
Let me start networking on my lunch break. Let me stop looking for water in this empty well.
oh, I love that image. Stop looking for water in an empty well.
It's so empowering. Instead of spending 8 hours a day resentful that Steve isn't praising you, you spend that energy planning your exit or finding satisfaction elsewhere. You realize you aren't stuck. You were just waiting for them to change.
And once you stop waiting for them,
You can move. You
Yeah.
realize the door was unlocked the whole time.
this applies so heavily to family, too. And the sources get personal here with Mel's relationship with her own mother.
This was a really poignant part of the book. Mel talks about decades of tension because her mother judged her choices, judged her husband, judged her life. And for a long, long time, Mel's reaction was to battle that judgment.
And the natural reaction to that is to fight back, right? To defend yourself, to try and force your mom to see your point of view. Mom, you don't get it.
Which rarely works with family. They have their scripts. Mel used a tool here called the frame of reference. She realized her mother wasn't operating from malice. She was operating from a different frame of reference.
The different generation.
Exactly. The different generation, different fears, different values.
Yeah.
Her mother's judgment was actually her mother's anxiety disguised as control.
So let them, in this context, isn't let them be right. It's more like let them have their opinion.
Yes, that's exactly.
Right.
You don't have to agree with it. You just have to accept that that is their view. Let your mom have her opinion about your house. Let her have her opinion about your career. It belongs to her. It doesn't have to land on you.
And the let me.
Let me live my life anyway. Let me love her despite our differences. Let me stop needing her validation to feel secure in my own choices. When you stop fighting for them to agree with you, the war ends.
And you can just have a relationship.
You can actually just have dinner together. You can talk about the weather. You can enjoy the relationship for what it is rather than what you wish it was.
There's another family dynamic mentioned that I think drives people absolutely crazy. The silent treatment. Or just, emotional immaturity in adults.
Oh, dealing with adults who act like children is incredibly draining. The pouting, the passive aggression, the slamming doors, it just sucks the oxygen out of the room.
The source material suggests a specific reframe for this. Imagine them as an 8-year-old.
It's brilliant. Think about it.
Mm-hmm.
If an 8-year-old gives you the silent treatment because they didn't get ice cream,
Yeah.
do you spiral into an identity crisis?
No.
Do you think, oh my God, does my child hate me? Am I a failure?
No, you think, okay, the kid is tired and cranky, they'll get over it.
Exactly. You have perspective. So apply that to the adult powder. When they start giving you the silent treatment, let them. Let them have a tantrum. Let them sit in silence. Do not rush to fix the vibe.
That's the hard part, though. We are conditioned to be vibe fixers.
We are. We think, oh no, dad is mad. I have to smooth it over. No, you don't. That is enabling the behavior.
What?
Let me be the adult. Let me go on with my day. Let me enjoy my meal. Let me not accept the invitation to their drama. You are essentially declining the invitation to the chaos.
And usually when they realize you aren't playing,
They stop pouting because it doesn't work anymore. It's no fun having a tantrum if no one's watching.
I want to pivot to a story in the sources that really surprised me. It's about jealousy. The story of Molly.
This is a fascinating application of the theory because it turns the lens inward. Usually we use let them for other people's bad behavior. Here we use it for our own internal toxicity.
Right.
So Molly was obsessed with this interior designer influencer on Instagram. She hated her.
Just irrational hatred.
Well, every time this woman posted a photo of a beautiful kitchen, Molly would just seethe. She would criticize the design, criticize the woman's voice, criticize her clothes. She was hate scrolling.
We've all been there. It's that ugly feeling of who does she think she is?
But Mel points out that jealousy is a map. Jealousy is data. Molly wasn't angry at the woman. She was angry at herself. The influencer was doing exactly what Molly wanted to do. Molly wanted to be a designer, but she was too afraid to start. She was paralyzed by fear, so she projected that anger onto someone who was actually doing the work.
So the let them flip here is about releasing that judgment.
Right. Let them. Let her succeed. Let her post her designs. Let her get the brand deals. Stop blocking her blessing in your mind.
And the let me.
Let me use this envy as fuel. If I'm this jealous, it means I want this. So let me start my own design business. Let me sign up for a class. Let me realize there's room for me too.
Wow.
When you stop tearing others down to make yourself feel better about your inaction, you can actually use that energy to build something.
That is such a powerful shift from "I hope she fails" to "let me start." It transforms the emotion from a poison into a propellant.
It does. It clears the blockage.
Now we have to go to the deep end of the pool. The source material covers a topic that is much heavier than annoying bosses or Instagram envy. We need to talk about addiction and enabling.
This is the hardest application of the theory, without a doubt. When you love someone who is struggling, whether it's addiction, severe financial irresponsibility, or a refusal to launch in life, every instinct in your body says, control it, fix it, save them.
Because you love them. You don't want them to hurt. You don't want them to lose their apartment or get sick.
But the source material draws a very sharp line between helping and enabling. Mel Robbins' Dr. Robert Waldinger here, who says something profound. Let people learn from life.
That sounds harsh. Let them learn from life.
It sounds harsh, but it's actually the most loving thing you can do in certain situations. If you pay the rent for someone who refuses to hold a job, you aren't helping them. You are robbing them of the consequences that would actually motivate them to change.
You're interfering with the feedback loop of reality.
Exactly. You are acting as a buffer between them and the world. And as long as you are the buffer, they don't have to change. They can stay in the addiction or the debt because you are absorbing the pain.
You are paying the price for their choices.
You are.
So let them fail.
Yes. Let them hit rock bottom. Let them face the eviction notice. Let them deal with a debt collector. It is terrifying to watch. It feels like you are abandoning them.
But the let me here must be incredibly strong.
The let me is about boundaries. It's about fierce love. Let me love them without funding your destruction. Let me say, I love you, and because I love you, I will pay for therapy, but I will not pay for rent. Let me keep myself safe and financially stable.
There is a loop mentioned in the sources for handling this, the ABC loop. This is specifically for the person who has been the fixer.
Right. It's a tool for the enabler to break their own habit of control. A is for apologize. This catches people off guard. You actually apologize to the person you've been controlling.
You apologize to the person who is messing up? That seems backwards.
You aren't apologizing for their actions. You're apologizing for your role in the dynamic. You say, I'm sorry I've been nagging you or trying to fix your life. I realized I've been treating you like you aren't capable. I've been overstepping.
Wow. That restores their dignity. It says, I trust you to handle your own life.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Then B is for back off. You physically and emotionally step back. You stop the bailouts. You stop the lectures. You let gravity do its work.
And see.
And C is for celebrate. If they make even a tiny step of progress on their own, you cheer them on.
Yeah.
But they have to take the step.
That apology part is wildly counterintuitive, but I can see how it changes the entire game.
Yeah.
It removes you as the antagonist.
It frees you from the role of savior or nag. And it forces them to face the mirror.
It seems like the common thread through all of these, whether it's the coughing passenger or the addicted family member, is removing the burden of responsibility for things that aren't yours.
Is the ultimate liberation. We walk around carrying these heavy backpacks filled with everyone else's problems, everyone else's opinions, everyone else's behaviors.
Yeah.
We are hunched over under the weight. The let them theory is simply the permission to set the backpack down.
And realizing that your own backpack, your let me, is heavy enough on its own.
Exactly. You have enough work to do on yourself. You have dreams to chase, trauma to heal, joy to find. You don't have the bandwidth to pilot everyone else's life too.
There's a really powerful takeaway in the outro of the source material about letting people be wrong about you. I want to touch on that before we wrap up because I think it's the final boss level of this theory.
This is one of my favorite parts. We spend so much time trying to correct the narrative. No, I'm not selfish. I'm just setting boundaries. No, I'm not lazy. I'm strategizing. We want to control what people think of us.
We want to be the hero in everyone's story.
Yeah.
Let them be wrong.
Let them be wrong. If someone is committed to misunderstanding you, let them. If they think you're the villain because you stopped enabling them, let them think that. You know your truth. Defending yourself against someone who doesn't want to hear you is a waste of your life force.
That is freedom. The freedom of not needing to convince anyone of your worth.
And that leads right back to the let me. If I don't have to convince you, I can just be me. I can just live. I can pilot my own ship without checking to see if you approve of my course.
So to recap our mission today, we wanted to explain how let them, combined with let me, cures anxiety and improves relationships. And I think we've seen that it works by simply aligning us with reality.
It aligns us with the truth. You control you, they control them. And when you stop fighting that law of the universe, you find peace.
It's not about giving up on people. It's about giving up on controlling people.
And in doing so, you often find that the relationships actually improve because nobody likes to be controlled.
Mm.
When you back off, people often step up. But even if they don't, you are okay. And that's the goal.
I love that. Okay, before we sign off, I want to leave the listener with a final thought to chew on. We've talked a lot about how this helps you deal with difficult people, but I want to flip it. Let them isn't just about giving others permission to be themselves. It's about giving yourself permission to stop auditioning for their approval. If you stop holding up the weight of everyone else's expectations, what will you finally have the energy to build for yourself?
That's the question. What will you build when your hands are finally free?
Thanks for diving deep with us today. Let them be them so you can be you. We'll see you next time.
Take care.